Man, it's like a Nordic day. It's cold like Norway today. Makes me want to eat fish desserts. TG MotoRider on my VTX 1800. I wanted to talk a little bit today about Shinko tires, Shinko 777s. I put about 1,000 miles on these tires on this bike. I've had 4 sets of Shinko 777s. I did a set on my Sabre 1100, on my VTX 1300. I have them on my VTX 1800 here. And I just put a set of Shinko 777s on my Kawasaki Vulcan Nomad 1600, which is 800 pounds wet. You know, I have a website. I calls them like I sees them. I call balls and strikes. I'm going to tell you what I think about something. If it's good, I'm going to tell you it's good. If it's bad, I'm going to tell you it's bad. So the Shinko Tire Company has been around since the 1940s. They were based in Osaka, Japan, and they made bicycle tires and tubes. But in 1998, the Yokohama Tire Company decided they were going to sell their motorcycle molds and patents off because they didn't want to make motorcycle tires anymore. So Shinko bought the molds and the tire technology from Yokohama, which is a very good tire company in Japan. The research and development for Shinko tires happens in Japan, but the tires are actually produced in South Korea, and they make about 200,000 tires a month. I got attracted to the Shinko tire brand when I was looking for tires for my Sabre 1100. Anyway, somebody said try Shinko tires, so I put them on my Sabre 1100, and I realized immediately they're very sticky. A couple things about Shinko tires. They are a bias ply tire. So, it's not a radial. What does that mean to you? Bias ply tires are good for moderate speeds. You typically don't want to go over 117 miles an hour if you have a bias ply tire. They're going to wear really fast. Radial tires, however, are wrapped with steel on the tread. So radial tires are more puncture resistant than bias ply tires. But what you gain, in my opinion, is the rubber compound. And Shinkos tend to ignore tar snakes. Like they're not even there. They're also more rigid on the sidewall. So the sidewall of a bias ply tire, these bias ply tires, the sidewall is made of Kevlar. It's plied with rubber and like a polyester compound that is rolled at 30 to 40 degree angles. The whole thing is wrapped that way. So the sidewall is super strong, which is why they tend to use bias ply tires in construction. They tend to be better for heavier applications if you got a heavier machine. Now, they do not dissipate the heat as well as a radial tire, which has a softer sidewall. It allows the heat to dissipate quicker, so radial tires last you a lot longer. I have noticed Shinkos in the rain are amazing. It's about 34 degrees right now, but I've had these tires out when it was 20 degrees. When they were 20 degrees, they were fine. Just let them warm up and you're good. The rubber compound is incredibly soft. It's very sticky. It's sticky on the corners in the wet. It ignores tar snakes and those grooves in the road like that. Yeah, it just goes straight through them. I had a set of Dunlop 404s, and if you saw those grooves in the highway, the Dunlops tend to try to track them. At least I noticed on mine. But these Shinkos don't do that. This is my 4th set. Pretty much through all weather over 4 different bikes. And I can honestly tell you, they're great for the price. So let me show you the tread pattern on here. 1,000 miles. They look great. Now, just because they do not dissipate heat as well as a radial doesn't make them completely useless. It just means they're going to wear faster, which they do. Okay, these are going to wear much faster. I had a set of Michelin Commander 2s, which I absolutely loved. I put those on my second VTX 1300, and they were great tires too. But I just want to talk about Shinkos today because I've seen a lot of people give Shinko kind of a bad rap, and maybe they've had a bad experience with them, and that might very well be true. So my experience with Shinko tires is for the price, for what you're paying for them, they've been great. The bias plies tend to be so rigid on the sidewall you don't have a super amount of flex going into corners, and so radial tires on motorcycles give you a little more flex in the corners, and the bike performs a little softer, and you have a little more control because the tires are absorbing a lot of that force in the corners for you as things bop around and move, you know. It basically puts that energy back on the bike and back on you. But for big heavy cruisers, I haven't had any issues with them. And I will do an update video of how they behave on the Vulcan 1600 because that bike is fully decked out, and that bike wet is over 800 pounds. So I'll let you know how that turns out. I'll make another video about it. But I would not have any trepidation about buying a set of Shinko 777s and putting them on a cruiser, because you're not going to be breaking 100 miles an hour on a cruiser. I mean, you shouldn't be, at least not daily. And even if you do it once in a while, I don't really think it's going to hurt them very much, as long as it's not 110 degrees outside when you try it. That's my personal opinion. I put about 14 to 16,000 miles a year on bikes. I don't drive my car unless the road is just a sheet of ice. Then I have to. But if it's just ice patches, I take my bikes. So I'm on my bikes a lot. I'm on the highway a lot. I'm all weather, whether it's hot or cold. To me, they've been stalwart. Been a great tire. I've had 10 motorcycles, and I don't know what it is about my 1800. I'm just absolutely in love with this thing. It's just so effortlessly powerful. Oh, you want to go over there? Here we go. There, you're there. Also, one more thing important to note, a radial tire, a steel belted radial, is 80% less likely to puncture and on the tread than a bias ply, which is not really good points for the Shinko. But I wanted to point that out to you because you've got steel belts, you know, getting woven in there. And that's my review of the Shinko 777 tires on my VTX 1800 TG MotoRider. Signing off. You know what? They make snake skin and gator skin hats and boots. What's wrong with fish wear? Salmon wear. Like salmon skin gloves and hats for women. I mean, I think it'd be fine until it rains. Then, yeah, it's gonna smell something pretty bad after that.